go around the back here so you don't all creep. Cool. Anyway, Helen's going to stand up now and talk to us about Slender, which is a game that once made me cry on a live stream. It was multiplayer, and he was following me around, and he was using all the prompts, and he was using text, and he was like, "You're going to die next." And yeah, so I cried for about 10 minutes. I might go stand outside for this talk, but in the meantime, we can clap lots for Helen.
Okay. So I actually did some of this at work, and I was watching PewDiePie play it, and I had my headphones on, and I was just at my lunch break, and I went, and then my marketing manager was like, "What the fuck is going on?" So I am also a huge scaredy cat, but I force myself to watch horror movies because I'm trying to get past it, and then there comes a point when that doesn't work anymore, and I'm still scared. But Slender Man is something that's always really interested me because you can sort of like. I'm going to look at my notes, that's a good thing to do. I'm not going to improv this, because I'm bad at that. So, yeah, it's like a really cool like internet phenomenon because it started here, and now it's like all over here. And people have all these different versions and all these different mythos. And lots of, is that praise for the word mythos? It's a good word.
I love the word.
Okay, I'm just going to take my shoes off. I fucking hate heels, but you have to be professional. Alright, so let's cover the obvious about why it's scary. Slender Man is an abnormally tall, abnormally thin being that kills or abducts people depending on what you believe. Depending on which version you prefer, he might be able to possess or hypnotize people. He might focus specifically on children, or he might be a ghost or supernatural entity that isn't from our dimension. Or he might particularly like to go for people who know about him and therefore paint a giant bullseye on them, so we're now all in danger. He might... You're all in this with me now. So he might have been human once, or he might have never been, or just nobody knows, essentially, or everyone knows, you've all got your own version. But to get back to reality, Slender Man is what came out of a group of people on Something Awful forums in 2009, and they were just having a Photoshop competition about what was the most scary thing. And the original pictures, I think, are these ones. So I'm not going to point them out, you'll see them when you see them. So in that one, he's got like multiple arms, and this is sort of like something that sometimes he has arms, sometimes he has multiple arms, sometimes he only has two, sometimes they're really long, well, they're always really long, but you get my drift, like people have different interpretations. Yeah, so since then there have been dozens, if not hundreds of further different pictures, especially fan art. I saw a really weird one where like Slender Man was like carrying a girl, and I'm like, is this like fan fiction about Slender Man? Is he like a movie? What's going on? But I didn't investigate it because again I was at work. There was one time when I was looking up someone called Tony Bruce, and I got a load of Bruce Banner and Tony Stark fan fiction, so that was fun. That's actually really good shit. Oh, this is going great. Okay, so there were a couple of YouTube series as well. One of the first ones was Marble Hornets. I don't know if anyone's seen that. It's not very well written, but it is very scary. And I think a better one is called Everyman Hybrid, and that's about some guys who are doing like fitness videos, and they look at their videos, and there's like a creepy guy, and they're like, whoa, and then things go all woozy and weird. Okay, so basically people get stalked, and they either disappear or they go mad. There was one where someone like just passed out and woke up 100 miles away. Anyway, so there's like nearly 400,000 followers of Marble Hornets, and he's got his own wiki, and that was useful. And now like Minecraft has Endermen in them, which I actually love because they're scared of water, and if you don't look at them you're fine, so that works for me. I have a little waterfall in my world right now, so I'm like, yeah, fuck off. Okay, so then you've got the game, the actual game Slender, which I downloaded especially for this talk because I was like, I've got to play it, and then I lasted like 20 minutes. And I had to turn it off because I went through a period like a month ago when I thought my house was haunted. It's not, I was just drinking too much caffeine and getting really jittery. No caffeine for me anymore, but you wouldn't be able to tell. Okay, so the first reason for the sheer scariness of it is the concept that I named the talk after, which is nothing is scarier, which is from TV tropes. What it means is that with the right atmosphere, it's scarier to see nothing than to actually see the thing because of the anticipation of it. So TV trope says, fear is not induced by... Wait. Yes, that is the actual quote, sorry. I got confused because it sounded like way too professional. Fear is not induced by some traumatic visual element or by a physical threat, but by the sole lack of event. This is a case of rampant creepiness associated not with what is happening, but with the general atmosphere of a scene. When properly done, it can result in one of the scariest moments. It does so for one simple reason. The author refuses to show us what is causing the scariness, but we desperately wish to know what, so our minds fill in the blanks. As you know, if you play the game, that's like constantly happening. And it just makes you more paranoid. As a side note, that's why I've always been like more scared of supernatural things because I wrote it down. It's because like serial killers are like only human, so I can like kick them or like stab them or run away or talk them to death, and that's all fine and dandy with me. But the ghost does what it wants, and demons are even worse because all they want is to hurt you, and then like you can't do a fucking thing. Especially not if you're atheist like me, because then exorcisms don't work. So yeah, you can't fight a reason with them. So Stephen King agrees with TV tropes and with me about the unseen being scarier. He's got a really good book called Dance Macabre, which is a really good read if you're interested in horror theory. Okay, so he has 3 categories. So this is the gross out. This is from Resident Evil 4. Leon! God, she is annoying. Anyway, so this is, he describes it as the gross out, the sight of a severed head tumbling down a flight of stairs. It's when the lights go out and something green and slimy splatters against your arm. So that's a representation of that. The next one is the horror. So that's the husk from Mass Effect. So that's the unnatural, spiders the size of bears, the dead waking up or walking around. It's when the lights go out and something with claws grabs you by the arm. I fucking hate husks too. I'm not good at horror, you're getting this theme. Okay, so it's not, I mean Mass Effect isn't technically a horror game, but that made me cry. Made everyone cry. So this one's terror. And this is the one that's constantly happening in Slender. It's when you come home and notice everything you own has been taken away and replaced by an exact substitute. It's when the lights go out and you feel something behind you, you hear it, you feel its breath against your ear, when you turn around there's nothing there. And I was actually just saying to this guy that I keep expecting Slender to appear. I'm scared of my own PowerPoint. Okay, so in Slender you're walking along because you can't run. What is it that? And you think you're seeing the trees and you look, but it's just your imagination, or was it? And I don't know what the ratio is for you, but I'm looking around like a lot. And then I decide not to, then I look again, so I'm even more scared. But it's only like maybe 1 out of 10 times that it's actually there, if that. And it also explains why a lot of people panic at the bit in the basement in Amnesia. If you don't know, there's like an invisible monster in there, and you can't see it, you just hear it sort of splashing, and you have to throw like rotted people at it to distract it, and it's just, yeah, that's not good. Okay, if you want a non-game example, then there's a really famous scene in Psycho, obviously, because you never actually see her get stabbed in the shower. You just see the knife coming down, then her going, ah! I'm good at screaming, God. So Hitchcock said, there is no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it. So that's another sort of encapsulating quote for you. So the next concept that I think makes Slender and Slender Man quite scary is that when you do see him, after all the little like, oh he's not there kind of things, it's that he's like he's just an extreme version of what you know as the uncanny valley. I'm going to hope this is the right slide that comes up. Yeah. So this is like the best picture I could find. Like the rest of them weren't actually creepy enough for me. So this is when a thing looks human but isn't, and you know that it isn't, but it still looks like it. And Slender Man's wearing suits, and he's got 4 limbs, but he hasn't got a face. So there's a lot of theories about why the uncanny valley exists for us, and I picked a couple that are most relevant. So the first one is called, and I'm going to butcher this, Sarite's paradoxes, which is seeing something that acts or looks human but isn't, because that undermines our own sense of what it is to be human. So we end up like subconsciously questioning ourselves and wondering like what else is out there that looks like us but is not us. And then the second is like the sheer violation of the norm. Like we have this expectation when you look at something humanoid that it should behave and look like us, and when it doesn't, that instinctively sets off the alarm bells that it could be a threat to you because it doesn't belong to our species. And then the third one is related to that one. Psychologically, the conflict between what something is and what we think it should be causes profound discomfort, and the evidence is not lining up with what you expect. So it's like an optical illusion, but really creepy. Another non-game example, which I'm actually going to introduce you to in a minute, is Mama by Guillermo del Toro, which is a horror film that was so good. It's got Jamie Lannister in it. Well, not you know. The monster is like another really tall and thin being, and it's incredibly creepy, and it's due to how it moves as well. And I've got some test footage for you. Oh god, this is gonna. Okay, I don't think the volume is working, but this is an example. This is an actual person, by the way. They've got this thing called Marfan's syndrome, which is where the connective tissue develops abnormally. Oh, it stopped. But that's creepy enough, isn't it? We're talking about scary shit. So that's that kind of thing. She moves like that all the way through the film, and it's mega creepy. Just look it up. Shut up, internet. Doesn't matter. I deal like my internet at home is so crap that I have no fucking patience with it anymore. Anyway, let's get back to it. I said let's get back to it. There we go. Oh, this is like when like your teacher is like terrible at presentations and someone has to go into the projector for them. Okay. Okay, so the thing about the movement is that with Slender you don't see him move. So like he's just there, and then he's over there, and then he's in your face, like just right up in your grill. Like, what are you gonna do? So it's this thing about being sort of humanoid but not quite. So the last reason for the scariness of Slender is that you're pretty much almost completely helpless. This is my last slide. There he is. Hello. So it's like embedded into the game mechanics that you feel vulnerable and helpless. You have no weapons, so you can't fight him. Though I have seen hacks where you get a gun and you just shoot him in the face. You have no means of escape because wherever you go, he's still going to be following you. And you only have a limited amount of light, which was just like, why? You don't even have like a battery level, so you don't know when it's going to go out. Again, that's well, apart from the not knowing what's going to go out thing, that's all in nature as well. You hide, and that's all you can do, really. So it's a really powerful situation to put a player into because it's a core fear to be helpless while something awful is happening, and like to be incredibly vulnerable. It's one of the reasons that the first Saw film was quite frightening because the two characters couldn't see any way out at first, but because one of them had family at stake, but he couldn't get to them. That was incredibly. That's like an adult fear. That's just visceral. So it's also powerful because most of us as gamers are quite used to automatically having weapons and being able to fight stuff. We're used to having anything to be able to hit evil guys with, even if it's just our fists. But it's just not there. You've got a lack of everything. There's no inventory or map or health bar or anything, so you're just sort of fumbling along, praying that nothing bad happens, which is kind of like real life. So you don't even know how you got into this mess in the first place either, because I'm like, I would never go into the woods by myself at night. Like, what am I thinking? And the other thing is that you don't seem to be able to run very fast either. Like you need to work out. Like it's just like you find like 5 meters. So that's like all 3 of your instinctive responses. You can't fight, you can't hide, and you can't run. And the other thing is that if you look at Slender Man for too long, then you die. but it's like in the nature of human psychology that if you know not to do something, you kind of want to do it anyway. So you're looking around all the time, hoping you're not going to see him, and hoping you will at the same time, just to get it over with. It's like, this is a biblical example now, like Lot's wife in Sodom and Gomorrah, and she knows not to turn around, but she does anyway, and then pillar of salt. But I don't know why. I don't know why salt, but that's what happens to her. And it doesn't help that there's this booming noise when he's looking for you. Like, as soon as you pick up the first piece of paper, which is the bloody objective of the game, and then it starts going boom, boom, and you're like, shit, like, this is not good. Booming noises are never good, like, just Lord of the Rings will teach you that. It's like, and then you can also see it in Paranormal Activity as well, where there's like the demonic sort of rumbling at night, and then, you know, the door opens, and you're like, oh. And then the duvet comes off the bed, and you're like, no, the duvet. Or inside was, duvet is the safe space. Yeah, so to conclude, oh, it's a mess. Slender is so scary because it just embodies the first principle of terror that I talked about with Stephen King. It includes the horror tropes that hit us in the most visceral places, because most of the time he's not even there, which just makes it worse when he is. And when he is there, he can't do anything about it apart from run away and not very fast and sort of stumbling and shambling along. It's like the very nothingness that's the worst part, because like the build-up of tension just carries on for so long and winds you up so tight that it's kind of a relief when you see him and die. And that's the end of my talk. There isn't an off button.
That's cool. We need to do that questions part again as well.
Oh yeah, questions! Hi.
Can you explain how it is to play the game, like what the mechanics are and how you interact with it?
What it's like to play the game?
Yeah.
Scary, like I just said. Like it's you're incredibly tense. Like you start off and you're just sort of walking along, and it's like you can hear your footsteps. And I didn't know what to do when I first I saw a fence, and I was like, I'm going to stay next to the fence, but that's not what you meant to do. You meant to go into the forest, which I didn't want to do. And it's called Slender the 8 Pages. There are 8 pages that you have to pick up, but as soon as you start picking up the first one, Slender's looking for you, and you have this light with you, and then occasionally it'll go out, and there are little places, and some of them are more dangerous than others. There's an especially bad one where it's like a tiled wall type area. It looks like a public toilet or something, but you go in there and there's lots of tunnels and there's like a chair on its side. And you're like, yeah. And then you turn around, it's like his hand is there. Let's run. It's a dead end. What do I do? It's essentially a lot of sort of running around and pissing yourself. I didn't last very long. I can't take it. A lot of suspense. I don't actually know what happens if you win the game. I don't know if that's possible. If everyone does know what happens, you probably die anyway. That's kind of how horror games work. Anyone else? Oh, hey, Will?
Hi. I was curious. You mentioned that it started in 2009, and to me that seemed very recent. How quickly do you think it sort of spread into the subconscious of internet culture? And was that because it's an internet thing as opposed to something else?
Ooh, you know, Radio 4 did a really good program on this. Actually, they actually like talked to people from the internet about Slender Man. It was great. Yeah, from the internet. There's these gnomes coming out. Anyway, I think that the internet has sort of shown us how quickly something can spread. I think probably a lot of it was the YouTube thing, and I think because Something Awful was. I don't know when it started going downhill, when Reddit started taking over, but they sort of overlapped at one point, and Reddit took hold of it as well. And they've got all these different subreddits, obviously. So there's like horror and paranormal. There's probably a particular Slender one. I should have looked at that actually. Anyway, I think YouTube helped because I think when people are actually making little videos and films, someone made like a trailer for a film. It was called Entity. That was the name of the film, it never got made, and I was really upset. Why do I think it spread so fast? Yeah, I just think it's like a visceral fear, and people just ran with it. And because there was no actual story behind it, people could make up their own thing. and that's always the best way to get someone to spread. If you just sort of say, it's yours, go.
Thank you.
I don't know if that actually answers a good question.
So you've probably seen in the media in like the last year a lot of teens becoming sort of cultists, I guess, around this whole Slender thing and even murdering people in the
Yeah.
of Slender Man. Why do you think it's had that effect and that impact on people?
I think, God, that's sensitive. Can the answer be I don't know? Because I think there's always been something that people attach their weird urges to. Like he used, like, I don't know, it would be, people said it was like Black Sabbath, or I don't know what that, I think that's made up. But there was like the satanic panic thing that happened in the 90s as well, and everyone was like, there's Satanists everywhere, there's cultists. This is mostly in America. I think we might have been a bit more sensible here, but there's a really interesting film. It had all these people in it.
Yeah.
It was about these three that someone found these dead boys and blamed the local goths, but there was a really shoddy case and there wasn't actually any evidence about it. So I think it was probably just an excuse, and I think if you're gonna sort of butcher someone, there's probably something wrong with you anyway. So I think kids are fucking weird as well. You think, I mean, obviously I never murdered anyone when I was a kid, but I thought really weird things. I was convinced for a long time that I could fly. I tried hard enough, for example. So I think it's just a combination of not being able to think properly, and also of it being a really powerful image, and being able to sort of believe whatever people believe what they read when they're that age, I guess. Hey.
I think one of the things, I mean, you mentioned about the reason why Slender Man spread. I mean, I think one of the things, he's really easy to draw. He's really he's very malleable, and he is this kind of blank slate that you can project onto him whatever you want. So I think there's some really interesting things going on there. And I mean, it's interesting looking at something like Slender Man and how quickly it took off. And it is basically a kind of urban legend. It's like a kind of a mythical thing within the internet. And I think there's maybe reflections of kind of more traditional storytelling, more traditional kind of like fairy stories, which don't actually have any origins, but just sort of emerge and take hold because they seem to be, touch something about storytelling that's really important to us. And the kind of the myth of the figure that lives in the forest and steals children. That's as old as the ages.
Actually, that's a really good point, because obviously there's a creative. You can do anything creative with. You can make a film about it. You can draw him. You can write about him. You can take pictures. You can do anything with him. You shouldn't stay away. But I think that's a really good point, that people can let their imaginations and whatever their creative talent is, they can just run with that.
Right. It's just expanding on the origins of Slender Man. And the reason why I think it may have got bigger quicker is because it actually originated on a site called Creepypasta, which is filled with user-created myths and legends. And he basically was the entry in the competition.
So I thought it was the other way around. I thought there was something awful first, and then Creepypasta said they had it. It's the other way around.
Yeah, it's the other way around.
Oh.
A load of other users came in and made like Photoshop pictures.
Oh, I've been duped. Thanks for setting me straight.
Yeah, no problem.
I like Creepypasta, actually. Okay, I have to give up the mic, I think.
Just as an aside, you can totally play like multiplayer Slender on Gary's mod. So if anyone's got Gary's mod, you can totally play it with like 10, 15 people. You would have thought it was less scary, but because you're all really hopeless, you trigger each other. Interestingly enough, I actually do also have the video from that time that I cried, and we'll probably put that on the VideoBrains blog afterwards if that's a thing people want to see.